Okay, so here we go again for another voiceover. So it is week 11, and this is Tuesday, which will be the first arm and shoulder workout of the week. So I'd like to start off with barbell curls, and I like to lean forward just a little bit, squeezing at the top, holding for maybe half a second or so, and trying to get a good contraction on the bicep. As I start to fatigue, I will start using body English and rocking and swaying and thrusting forward to get it up because I don't care. Also, hope you guys like my little shorts. I'm wearing those so that way I can't hide any of my ugly behind any of my clothes. You can see everything, the whole entire body from every angle, all the lighting. There's no hidden angles or cameras trying to say, oh, look at how good I look. Either I look the part or I don't. So after that, I moved to dumbbell curls. These I like to rotate and pause for a few seconds. My next arm workout will actually be seated dumbbell curls, which I actually push them out to the sides. So these I try to keep them more shoulder width and just try to focus on the peak contraction on the bicep. And then on the next time I use dumbbells will be on a incline bench, and that will be widen out grip or exaggerated widen out grip, I guess. So from there, we move to the preacher curl. These kind of hurt my elbow sometimes. And also I could feel it in my insertion for my scar from when I had surgery. So I don't go super heavy on these, but I like to keep it moderate. I do get a really good pump for these. Unfortunately, tonight, my pump wasn't really that great because I reduced my carbohydrates, trying to lean out a little bit more. So I cut carbs a little bit today and yesterday. So I was kind of fighting getting a pump. But this actually got my pump going on my biceps. Finally, here is whenever I started feeling the pump and started feeling pretty good and everything. I started getting fatigue in my arms pretty well right here. I do like preacher curl. I feel like they are a very, very, very great exercise. But you can see I have a little bit of body English. I kind of set back into it just because my pec, it feels weird. And I can feel that in that area right there. So I kind of have to use a little bit of finesse to make it where it doesn't feel so weird in that area. And going lighter won't change it. It doesn't really do much for me to change lighter. I finish off with some hammer curls just because I want to get some forearms in there. And this right here hits the brachialis, which flares out the bottom of the bicep to make it look wider and thicker. Plus, I just like the way they feel. They're enjoyable. It's probably one of my more favorite bicep workout movements to do. As you can see, I'm still fat right here. As I'm sitting down, my stomach's still kind of drooped up. All right, so now we move to triceps. Next time I work out my arms, I'll actually be starting with triceps and finishing with biceps. This night right here, I try to keep it more old school with the straight bar curls, the preacher curls, the hammer curls, and then with the triceps, I like to do the skull crushers. And I keep these light. I have hurt my elbow and tricep. I tore something in my tricep when I was in my 20s doing these. I was banging 135 for reps, and I noticed my elbows were flaring out, so I pulled my elbows in, and then something in my elbow popped really bad, and ever since then, my elbow will crack when I extend my arm out. It does not feel good at all when I go too heavy on these. It actually hurts the elbow. So this is actually more of a JM press right here. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's basically a skull crusher, but you kind of, as you see, you bend the arms, and then you bring them behind your head, and then you press it back forward. It's a lot different because you get a stretch right there. You get a heavy stretch on the tricep, and then you get the contraction on the actual press when you start to straighten your arms. And it feels like it takes stress off of the elbows. And then from there, we do the overhead dumbbell extensions. I know this doesn't have the biggest range of motion in the world, and it's very small range of motion actually in comparison to the other movements out there. And then the bigger the dumbbell, the smaller your range of motion. But again, it's one of those old school workouts. I really like it. I like the way it feels. It feels good on my elbows. And then as long as I keep the weight modest and then I slow the reps down and pause at the top, I get a very, very, very good burn in my triceps. And I actually get a very good pump from these. I don't know if it's because my hands are over my head. Then when I put my arms back down, all the blood rushes in there. But there's just something about the way it feels when you get done with doing a heavy set of these, man. It feels so good. Just feeling that blood rushing in those triceps when your arms come back down like from overhead. So never hurt myself on these, but I enjoy them. And then I do some cable kickback, one arm at a time, just working on the contraction, not really going heavy, just trying to get a good squeeze and hold at the top. Nothing too crazy, nothing too complicated, nothing really crazy or out there, just a little bit of single arm isolation here. And I don't rest on those. I go back to back to back to back to back without stopping. It normally gives me also a good pump in my arms. So right here, my arms are finally pumped up and then actually pushed over into the bicep too. So it made my arms feel a lot more pumped, which you can't really tell on camera. Not that you could ever really tell in general. I can tell because they're my arms. Harder for you guys to tell because they're not your arms. You don't live with them in your body. So, but anyways, right here, my arms were feeling pretty pumped up. I was feeling pretty good. Still looking fat. Still looking gross. Still needing a lot of work. But you know what? Every week it's getting better. My stomach's not hanging right here anymore like it was in the beginning when I started doing these videos. So that is a huge plus. Quick little look back in the mirror. So now we go to shoulders. The shoulders, I'm going to do the exact same routine both days, which starts off with some nice, slow, controlled shoulder press with a pause at the bottom and a squeeze on the shoulder blades, and then a nice, straight vertical press. And I actually pinch the shoulder blades back as hard as I can right here. I'm actually trying to squeeze the shoulder blades together and get them to pinch, because all that in between the shoulder blades and the middle of the back, that all gets worked with these two. And I found that the less I do shoulder press, the worse my back and shoulders look. The more I do it, the better they look, but the more my shoulders hurt. So if I go light, like with these 35s, nice, long hold, squeeze, pause, flex, contract. It doesn't require a lot of weight, but I still reap all the benefits of doing heavy shoulder work because my shoulders are pretty beat up. It's not that I haven't taken care of them. It's just I've abused them more than I've taken care of them. I think we're all guilty of that at some point or aspect of our training. We might like to focus on something a little bit more than we should, and we feel a little bit of pain, but we push through it because we like the way it feels with the pump, but we ignore the issue until it becomes a problem. So from here, we move to side laterals. Now, I do these for sets of 20. I do 4 sets of 20, and I keep the same weight for every single set. And then if I hit all 4 sets of 20 without stopping, so if I hit like 15, then I have to take a break. Then I will continue to use that weight for the next following workouts until I could do 20 all the way through without stopping for all 4 sets. Then I'll go up and weight. And I do the same thing for the front laterals that I'm doing here and the reverse pec decks. Now right here, if you see, I don't know if it shows on the camera or not on the screen, but you can see my traps and my shoulders and everything engaging and flexing. At least I can on this screen. If you go all the way up on those front lateral raises, all the way overhead, you'll engage your traps. So if you need to work your traps out and you're lagging in that area, you can do those all the way overhead and you'll get a phenomenal trap pump and workout without having to do shrugs if you don't like shrugs. So these right here, I like to sit high. I like to put the seat high, and I like to grab the handles low, and that puts more strain on the rear deltoid. If you grab high and sit low, if you sit low and grab high, you'll actually take it off the shoulders and put it more on the traps. If you sit high and grab low, you'll put it on those rear delts, and you'll get a hell of a pump in the rear delts, and you'll start to get a real nice, good, heavy burn with very light weight. Again, squeezing, contracting, sets of 20 is what I like on the shoulders. They're very small muscles. They don't require a lot of weight. If you look at the size of the deltoid from the rear, the deltoid for the front, and the deltoid in the middle head of the shoulder, they're not big muscles. They're very small muscles, so they don't require a lot. Okay, so with these shrugs right here, you'll notice when I get done with these 75s, I actually hold it. I do a set of 12, and then on this last one, I hold. The reason why I hold on these is because doing heavy deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, when I used to power lift, doing farmer walks and stuff like that, you're not shrugging the straps and the shoulders. You're just holding heavy weight with your arms. And believe it or not, your traps are designed to hold heavy load. So you don't always have to shrug to build your traps. So at the end of a heavy shrug session with dumbbells or a barbell, I will hold the weight until I cannot hold it because my traps are starting to give out. That I feel more than any shrug. I don't care how much you shrug. You eventually start getting that little 1-inch range of motion on that shrug when you go too heavy. Instead of doing that, just hold it. Just fatigue it with a lighter weight, then go to a heavy weight, and then just hold it. And your traps will respond, and they will get bigger and thicker, and your neck will thicken up, because that's the whole purpose of the trap. It's to hold and stabilize the shoulder from ripping off when you pick something up. And believe it or not, that does stimulate it. If you don't believe me, just try it and you'll see what I'm talking about. And then I finish up with about 12 minutes of cardio, doing it like I would as if I was working out, doing one minute on 7, the 1 minute on number 3, the 1 minute on 7, the 1 minute on number 3, until I get too fatigued, and then I call it a day. So that's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. As you see, my progress is getting better, but I still got a long way to go before I'm no longer fat and gross. But I'm going to try to wear these little shorts so you can see my body changing. Well, till next time.